Halito. What's up, family? It's your boy Kel, Flying Snake Hyman, here with another video. And to tell you the truth, y'all, I'm under the weather a little bit. So I wasn't going to do it, but because I told people that, yeah, I was going to drop another video this weekend, I'm going to go ahead and touch on a few things. All right, a couple things I want to make sure that the Aboriginal community is understanding, because a lot of this back and forth and the use of certain words such as, pale faces, for example, a lot of times are things that are used to divide and may misconstrue exactly us knowing who our enemy is. So, first, let's look into knowing thy enemy. Please, y'all, do not make this a race thing. Understand me coming where I'm coming from. I grew up in a diverse area, but by the beaches. And so, we grew up with people of all races around us. And we got along together within that community. Now, of course, later on, as I went to different places, I saw what true racism could be. And so, yes, I do understand that there's a big difference depending on where you at and where you grew up at. But just I'm pointing out that to say that, all people of a certain complexion are not necessarily against you. And all people of another complexion, which may happen to be your own, aren't necessarily all for you. Because if you know anything about our history that we've been watching of late, you'll see some of the methods that have always been used against us is that you use somebody that looks like them to get your point across or to get us to make a mistake. And there's been quite a few mistakes that have been made. But what I want you to know is that it was more so based on a social class than anything else. It's always been the haves and the have-nots, and just as it is today. So an example of that is in Halifax County, North Carolina, which I've been doing a lot of study on because that's where both of my sides of my family originally stemmed from. And so it's a little bit easier for me to trace back to a certain degree. But as I was doing the research in the area, I came to find out that they had free blacks, free whites, white slaves, and black slaves all in the same area. And the Halifax region was heavily, predominantly of color during those time periods. I thought that was something that's interesting. So if you're understanding that they had white slaves and black slaves, and had free blacks and had free whites, then it's always been a social thing. Who has and who does not. Same thing when it came down to indoctrination. When they brought out these compulsory state institutionalized school programs, a lot of them financed, especially even in college, a lot of them financed by the Rothschilds and those associated with them. That's when we became indoctrinated with all this BS that at least 76% is just ultimately not true. That has been proven, and it's a known fact. Yet, they're still being taught in our school systems. Our children are still being tested based on these lies. And it's all a part of the same paper genocide to make you forget who you are. So with that being the case, that's one of the things that we need to address. But understand, they also put these non-elite, quote unquote, Caucasians in the same system that we were in. So therefore you could tell it's about a social class. Who has it, who has something to gain from it versus who don't, in which they will put you in the same boat or the same box that they put those that they want to take advantage of. You can see how easily it was done once they switched this whole United States into a corporation in which they're just trying to make money off of everybody, and virtually everybody sold into slavery now at birth. Yeah, everybody. Because you have a birth certificate and you have a social security card, which they're making money off of during and even after your life. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And so, gotta know your enemy. Also, education. We gotta start with our youth. I mean, I think we may be the only culture in history that actually allowed our offspring to be taught by the same people that conquered us. That's the reason why we've been exposed to these lies. That's the reason why this diabolical plan has worked so well. Because it started in a place that we allowed them to teach our children when they're most impressionable. We're talking about 5 years old. At the time period, they're kept away from their parents for 8 hours out of the day and believe in everything that they're learning. Because we're sending them there. We're sending them there to learn. And previous generations really believed everything they're learning was beneficial for them. But it was not. It's all part of the process, the dogma, propaganda, used to break up people down, make them forget who they were, think of them less than who they really are. When it should be obvious, once you come to this newest nation of all, and yet it's now the strongest nation in the world, the creation of all these new inventions, mostly attributed to, quote unquote, the black people that never really got credit for the stuff that they did, but who in all actuality are the American Aborigine. Still the greatest creators on the planet. But when you take a people and make them forget who they are, make them think that their culture started with slavery, make them think that their people have never accomplished anything and therefore why should they even try? That's when we break down and start doing the things that the colonizers did. That's when we start living up to stereotypes that have been put on us for generation after generation. That's the reason why they can point and say, yeah, the Indian was uncivilized until we got here. We made them civil. Or they can come with a doctrine of discovery under the powers of the Pope to claim anything that wasn't what they believe. And we're just going to sit here and let all of that ride. It's unreal stuff. We got to get our stuff together. We got to get our stuff together, people. We need to start organizing action. And we already have the platforms to do it. This Aborigine community is growing. And you can find us on Tribe Up app. Another platform you can look for us on is African Americans Ain't African. A lot of knowledge to be taught, a lot of knowledge to be learned. And some of these people have been on this for years. And yeah, I think we're getting to the point where we need to be doing things that are action rather than just talking about it. Because all this is used for division, just like religion. We're still here fighting over the semantics of, well, you might believe this and you might believe that. But some facts are undeniable. They're undeniable. Just as undeniable as my grandmother telling me that we are Cherokee. And nobody here or nobody anywhere else is going to tell me that my grandmother lied. So that's my story. I already know who I am. Why should I really carry this burden of proof? But being that the system that we live on, and they have intentionally made these moves to stop us from realizing who we are so that we can't claim our birthright and what is due to us, then yeah, we got to follow the process. Go back. Do your genealogy research. Make it an every week thing. I mean, I understand if you can't do it every day, but you can't let up. Keep learning more and more. You might find some information that you can really be proud of the people that came before you. We've lost our connection with the previous generations. I don't know whether that came through the 80s when these drugs was flooding into our systems, or along the line when they tried to split the fathers from the family. I'm not sure exactly where it came in, but we've gone away from some things that are definitely a part of our culture. And it's not all that long ago that we really knew how to behave, how the whole village raised the children, the respect and honor we gave to our elders. Because remember, these are the ones that came before you, paved the road for you, raised you, protected you, and took care of you during a time when you couldn't take care of yourself. So how is it that you can feel that you don't owe anything to them as they age, to the point where now the tables are turning, you have to take care of them? We have to get it together as a people. 20 years ago, there's no way that the American people as a public would have allowed these Mexican children to be taken from their parents, put in closed down Walmarts for 23 to 24 hours a day in cages, and just allowed that to happen. There's no way. But now we've become so desensitized. If it's not us, then we don't have to stand up. You got to stand up for any injustice, any injustice. Otherwise, everybody becomes desensitized to it and nothing changes. It's unreal. It's unreal, the stuff we're going through right now. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's talk about building a nation. You know, because I'm hearing a lot of different people, you know, voicing their opinions. And yes, we do have to do the research and try to learn as much as we can and acquire this proof. But let's not also forget that the Walter Plecker altered enough records to make some of us unable to trace our tribal lineage. Let's not forget that. These records have been altered intentionally so that nobody could claim Indian. People have been placed and categorized as various different colors to make it even harder to trace it. And yes, there will be some of us that will not be able to trace it. But no, they're not going to be left out for that. Because that's something that we're coming from. We're coming for that. Our reparations for paper genocide also includes them. It also includes them. So we definitely have to think about being inclusive as a nation. And getting past where all these different divisions. Yes, I've studied some of everything. I came up as a Jehovah's Witness first. I've studied every Hebrew religion there is. I've looked into Islam. I've looked into Hinduism and Taoism. I've studied the Hebrew Israelite doctrines. I went as far back as looked at the Sumerian text, translated by Zechariah Sitchin, and we talking about aliens in the whole nine. All that's good and all. Most of that we can't necessarily prove. But the stuff that's right here, that's only been 300-400 years, oh yeah, we can go back. We can look at some of these records. You can prove who you are or who we came from at that time. Why are we worried about what happened in these other countries all these years ago that we can't necessarily trace our lineage back to? It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's something that we just don't need right now. I mean, we've had people that have come out with books for many years. It's known. There are scholars that have put out this information. It's been known that we were already here. We must stay on top of this stuff. We got to stay educated. We got to come with our tools. We got to have our members that are versed in law. We got to get it together. We can have our own lawyers. We can have our own banks, supermarkets. We can grow our own foods. We can produce our own products. And there's ways that we can do this. There's people that's already starting to come together and do these things. We just got to meet together. We need to build a database where people can put down what skills they have, what areas they're in, what they're good at, what products they make, so we can start controlling our spending. Controlling our spending. Because when you can direct how a nation spends their money, then you have power that's respected internationally, worldwide. See, because even right here in this country, our spending power is respected. But that's it. It's the only thing they care about you. How much you spend. Quote unquote, black women are the highest spenders on the planet. Yeah. Yeah. So even though we might not have the most money, we spend it. We spend it. So how we spend it, oh yeah, they care about that. If today we would stop and only spend with us, right now, in 2 weeks, we'll be getting a phone call talking about what can we do to be a part of that. How can we get you to come spend some money with us? Because they be hit. They be hit. We can create our own currency. As long as we respect it and abide by it, that's all that would matter. Next thing you know, they're going to want a piece of that too. Because anything we do, it's going to be followed. It's not something new. It's something that always has happened. That won't change. I'm not going to be too long-winded here. It's a couple things I just want to get off my chest. You know, I wanted to let some people know some things, even though I'm down. I'm living under the weather right now, but I'm not going to let no sickness stop me from getting the word out. I'm not going to let a sickness stop me from trying to motivate my people to make some moves, to cause some action. It's the Aborigine call to action right here. That's something we could do. We got to link up, tribe up, rise up. I want to give a couple shout outs for our community and also give some of the new listeners outlets in which they can begin to educate themselves as well as educating their children. I think the most well-known of us at the moment would be Dan Calloway. Dan Calloway has excellent documentaries, and he brings the truth. And he brings it in a way that older and the younger generation can subscribe to it, as well as the youth, because he's not so profane in the majority of his videos. And then we have empresses like Phoenix Moon. She goes in. I say she goes in, family. Probably not something you want the kids to watch, but she puts it in a way that I feel like a lot of the older crowd really can appeal to. But she's raw. She's uncut. Chief Holiday, he brings it. Very knowledgeable. It keeps us on our feet. My man Ty Data, that's the businessman. He's always looking at opportunities how we can make our businesses grow. Get on him. Chief Warhorse, and she actually traced her lineage back thousands of years to this land, right here. She's been to the White House. She's been to the UN. And got the name right, Shatta Tribe. Much props to Chief Warhorse. Chief Kalinago, my man goes in. He's also about action. He's trying to get the word out, get our people together, and try to get a group that's ready to take on the Supreme Court. So I definitely get behind that. Taunton is one. My man constantly is giving out information. Constantly. Indigenous one. And this is another one that you may actually be able to allow the children to watch, because he normally appeals to an older crowd. But I believe he's the one that's behind the African Americans Ain't African. And he's been bringing it for a long time. Be sure to check out his platform. Darkman X, he goes in. A few people in the community from Tribe Up. We got Laney, 5813. My man Ghost. Tribe Up, Rise Up. We got Libra Sun. Lasani Lawrence. Carrie Bay. James Gilmore. Chris Lockett. Raven Hawk, we had a good bill today. Definitely trying to do something, make some power moves. Empress Hobart, the Truth Seeker, we're going in. Root Word. Now, me and Root had some conversations today. I'm still trying to figure out how we can claim more and be Aboriginal at the same time. He tried to break it down for me a little bit, but it looks like I'm going to have to do some studying and maybe he's going to have to do some too. Because my thing is this. If you're claiming that you're more, and don't get it twisted, I really don't care what religious thing you subscribe to. If that's what it takes for you to have some type of morality that make you feel like you need to do the right thing that's inherently built inside of us, I'm fine with that, whatever you call it. My only issue as far as claiming who you are, to go back and prove, can you trace your lineage back to some people that were considered to be Moors? Can you? So how can you claim, if you can't, then you can't claim that without a shadow of a doubt, that's who you are. Another thing is, from my understanding of more, and it's going to depend on, I guess, how it is interpreted, but I've heard it interpreted those that, guide ships, which, from what I'm hearing, the Moors did, as far as guiding the colonists here. Chief Warhorse pointed out the first people that they saw came to this land were of the same complexion. So, from a lot that I've read, the Moors actually betrayed the American Aborigine. But that's just from that. I don't know, but either way, other than that, you're claiming more, and that has something to do with Morocco. But if you're claiming that you're from Morocco, and if this is not Morocco, you're not claiming that you are from this land. And how you can prove that this is Morocco, that's something else altogether. I'm just gonna leave it alone. But I would like a good explanation of how you can do that. Claim more and claim Aboriginal at the same time. I feel like we just need to get it together. Whether you are Hebrew Israelite, whether you are more Science Temple, traditional more, whether you are studying the sciences of Kemet, whatever it is that you're studying, I think we still need to be focusing on who we are and who we are within the last 300-400 years, where we can trace back to, where we have rights to, where we owed trillions of dollars to. I mean, if we can focus there and put all the other stuff behind us, because whatever you subscribe to, it may be true and it may not be true. I mean, I know the Mormons themselves, they believe that this was a Negro continent. So a lot of that also goes along with what the Hebrew Israelites say. But can it be proven? Is that something that we can focus on? We can follow some of those practices if that's what you're moved to do. But as a community, by us knowing who we are as a people, this is what we need to stand up for. And the time is now. How my man Go say it, boots on the ground. Who's trying to be about this right now? That's where we stand. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and close this up now. Oh yeah, don't forget my man Copper Color K. He out here trying to get his bread. I'm all for it. And that's what it is. Link up with me. Drop comments. Subscribe, like. Your boy Kel's Flying Snake out.